Okay, here we go.
There we go.
So this is in West Virginia, funny enough, and you were talking about it. This was it's like a landlocked parcel around a national forest and stuff, you know. My wife had found this and we were looking at it. Funny enough, it was from 1877, but this description, when you read it, it talks about beginning the 10-acre tract. Let me zoom in a little bit so y'all can see it. Beginning the 10 acres tract, as described in surveyor report marked, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to, and it's on the waters of the Deer Creek, adjoining the island of Allen and this other properties, bounded as follows: beginning at the White Oaks and Two Pines on a ridge, corners, set to border lands with his line. The Two White Oaks, it talks about, you know, chestnut trees and stuff. And I guess, you know, chestnut trees don't even grow over there anymore. I guess they get. But how would somebody retrace something like this? I was just curious, you know.
Well, you're gonna retrace it like you would retrace any other survey. You're gonna go out on the ground and see what you know. First of all, what are the controlling calls? A white oak tree in 1877, maybe it's possible a white oak could be that long, but you're starting to push the end of that life cycle. How old was it then? Chestnut tree, forget it, gone, been gone for 100 years. The blight killed them years ago. There's no chestnut trees left in West Virginia. So what evidence would we hope to find to rebuild the property boundary?
And just
old fence.
Some old trees and stuff, I guess.
Evidence of occupation, line trees, fencing, surveys of adjoiners, talk to the neighbors, talk to local surveyors. Anybody ever surveyed out there? Did you ever, you know, was your granddaddy alive when the white oak was there? It's the exact same thing we do today. It's just a lot harder and a lot older. And that's the test. We keep talking about the test of the legal description. Don't think about whether or not you can recover my survey 20 years from now. Think about it 200 years from now. How are we defining it where it can be found 200 years? But in that area, I will submit to you that if you were to get a job in West Virginia, in that region, in that district, you're going to end up working for a firm that's probably been there forever and has those records. You're not going to work for a new firm, butterfly into Morgantown, West Virginia, and say, ta-da, I have all the answers, because you don't. You're going to need a lot of historical surveys.
And since it's landlocked, I don't know if that ever happened. What would I don't know if there's any like easements or anything, you know, from the one guy going over the other property, but how would something like that? You'd have to get an easement from the private property owners. How would something like that happen?
And you'd have to record the evidence of that ingress and egress. Is somebody trespassing? You know, how are they getting in and out of the property? You then want to talk to a title company. How do we examine all the title of all the adjoiners? Maybe there are easements recorded, but they're on other deeds that reserved it backwards. So that they may exist through other reasons. So title research, on the ground research. And then if you were in Florida, the first thing you're going to do is refer the landowner to a good dirt attorney, good real estate attorney, and say, would you look at this? And he's probably going to contact the adjoiners. Can we do a boundary agreement and resolve this? If not, in Florida, we do have a clause called the statutory way of necessity, and you could file in court for a suit to quiet title showing that you need access to your property. But that's a tough sell in the court.
Yeah, thanks very much. I appreciate your input and taking the time to look at it real quick. I thought you guys would find it interesting too.
And that's a great example. Anytime y'all have a good example for class, bring it up, because just reading the book and looking at a sketch in the book doesn't impact you as much as here's a real survey. Here's how you resolved it. And so, yeah, that helps. Thank you. So now let's restart sharing.